This is our new book, Fractured Lives. It's our second book. It's a sister book to the Your House Is Mine book that we did in 1988 to 92. Fractured Lives was started in 2010, and we finished it in 2020. We shelved it for a couple of years when we forced Governor Cuomo to ban fracking in New York State. I live in central New York, besides New York City, and fracking, we were ground zero for fracking in central New York, so we were concerned about the quality of our water. Of course, fracking does pollute your wells. The theme of this book, Fractured Lives, has a lot to do with clean water, the fight for clean water. Whereas Your House Is Mine, our first book, dealt with shelter and housing. So dealing with banning fracking, and everyone has a right to shelter, or everyone has a right to clean air and water. So the water was a strong theme within this book. The contributors in this book were a mixture of activists and artists, farmers, community people, local poets, people like Catherine Dawson, Mike Bernhard, Yoko Ono and Sean Lennon live nearby. They were involved. Ellen Cantarow, Walter Gurbo, Frank Morales, a combination of city folks and also rural community. There were posters by Sue Coe. It was, besides the book project, there was also a poster project. These banners of our posters existed at three famous locations. One was when President Obama spoke in Binghamton about to promote fracking. It also included the climate march in Times Square in New York City. And the biggest protest was in Albany when fracking the anti-fracking movement kind of peaked, and we forced Governor Cuomo to ban fracking in New York State. There's a section of 37 pages of writings and poems and illustrations. We also did a timeline of the history of fracking. Fracking started in 1825. And there's something called the Halliburton loophole, where Dick Cheney and George Bush, when they were president, there's a loophole that the fracking companies aren't responsible for the Clean Air and Water Act while they're fracking. Yoko Ono's piece, pretty soon there will be no more water to drink. And she also wrote a letter to the governor. We published that, called Imagine. Then we have a lot of poems in the book. My Name is Mud. It's a poem about the Susquehanna River. This is an interview with Tony Pinotti and myself, The Rude Algae of Time. We're appropriating Joseph Boyce here, Bruce Witzip, Alexandra Rojas. Frackers Crack, We and Gas. There's a Fractivist Manifesto. And then we start the posters. They're all silkscreen posters and signed by the artist. There's a diagram about fracking. A poster, Protect Your Mother, the Rights of Nature, Protect Mother Earth. This is Empire State Building, upside down as a drill, just cutting the earth in half, the hot kind of lava of fracking. Some of the posters are more abstract than others, and some of them are more direct. This is a portrait of a tree as pipes, industrial pipes. This is a piece called The Seven Deadly Sins. This is a poster called Mob, a takeoff on mobile gas. Tom McGlynn, the artist, appropriates pop culture icons like Andy Warhol, for example. This is the pizza box of Domino Pizza, sort of appropriating the red earth and the blue sky. These are old maps, all SO maps, and we're writing silk screening no on top of these old maps from the 1950s and 60s. It was inspired by the Trump's EPA, Pruitt. The idea of squeezing the earth. We wanted some graffiti type in here. There's something wrong with everyone in this town, very wrong. Some towns voted for moratoriums on fracking, called home rule, and other towns voted for fracking. This is a drill bit, fracking. H2O. The United States in the shape of the lungs being filled up with water and veins. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. A takeoff on the thinker. Fractured lives. This land is ours, speculators keep out. A takeoff on Woody Guthrie. The F-bomb, this is called. The frack bomb. Frackicide. This is a silkscreen poster by David Sandlin. This poster is in the shape of the United States, and these is the formulas that they use, the chemical formulas that make up fracking. These are all the chemicals they're using for fracking, the carcinogenic, cancerous chemicals. This is in the shape of a pipe about big corporations. This is Sue Coe's poster, New York bans fracking. She lives up here locally now. She moved from New York City to up here, and they built a huge gas pipeline through her property, through eminent domain, to transfer gas from Pennsylvania to New York City. 0 cents. It makes 0 cents to frack. John Fekner and myself, New York and decay forever, New York and boyfriend forever, New York and decadence forever, with this well, this gas well exploding. Another Walter Sipser poster. Some of the posters are more direct, some of them are more abstract. Bad Trade is a takeoff on the Lone Ranger when Kimosabe tells the Lone Ranger, bad trade, Kimosabe. And this ends the book with abbreviation of water. The books are bound with sheet metal and then wood, and then this rubber connects them together. We worked with a tinsmith where we dented the sheet metal a little bit, bent it around the wood. Then we had an 1.5 inch of binding space that we screwed all the posters together. And we made 50 of these books. And we're getting ready to distribute them around the United States and Europe. The books weighs about 25 pounds, where the other book weighed 17 pounds. So the weight is very symbolic also. The weight of the struggle for clean water, for clean air, for shelter.